But Blake, everybody talks about the throwback, the environment, the atmosphere. That's a reason why everyone has their eyes peeled to this. Let's get a quick update from pit road before we go green. Here's Jacqueline.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about Bobby McCarty and all the success he's had here in the Cars Tour. But although he's had 1 win so far this season, he said that he really should have 3. He's approaching this race in a qualifying position at 14, but he said, I'm out to, quote, kick their teeth in. All gloves are off for McCarty. We're going to see what that past champion has to do in that number 6 tonight.
Pretty pointed words there from Bobby McCarty. And again, we talk about the temperature continuing to rise in the late model stock car competition. Don't see any reason why tonight can't be any different, as it looked like the lights were off on the HendrickCars.com pace car, but they will be thrown on once again as Brandon Willard, will he show us the one to go signal? It looks like the lights are going to stay on, and we may get a couple more pace laps here around Hickory Motor Speedway. But Eric, just before we get going tonight, every time we approach these races, it's hard to circle one driver that is certainly going to drive away from it. But as we look at this top 10, I think that the best case you can make, and I know somebody out there is going to say, well, duh, it's Connor Hall, who's starting on the point. I mean, with the performance he's had this year, he hasn't necessarily had the best track position, but he has had the pace and he's had the speed. You got to talk to him a little bit earlier today during our pre-race show. He just has a swagger about him right now that I think is quite dangerous.
There's a high level of confidence in that car, throwing it back to Timothy Peters, who was one of the men responsible for helping get Nelson Motorsports off the ground back when he was still running in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. They got Timothy's number, the box letter that resembles Red Horse Racing. Now Connor Hall is going to try to bring it to victory lane for the second time this year. Would be for him if he could do so.
For the 21st time in its series history, the ZMAX Cars Tour comes to Hickory Motor Speedway, but for the 7th time, it means a little bit more. The Throwback 276 is underway. Sit back and enjoy this one from Newton. Off at turn 4, Connor Hall will be the first one back to the stripe. A battle for second starting to form between Millington and Hettinger. Hettinger goes to the top side, 3 wide on lap number 2 at Hickory. Millington down to the bottom. He gets the best end of it. Hettinger trapped on the top side. They didn't waste any time. Connor Hall leads again on lap number 2.
We've been talking about how great the racing has been. These drivers are saying we're going to keep it rolling. Somehow Hettinger slots into second in the outside lane, and 2-time track champion Ryan Millington goes to the point as the crowd waves their hats and hands on the front stretch.
First laps he has led since Ace Speedway earlier this year. That happens to be the track he has scored his only ZMAX Cars Tour victory. No, by the way, that famous 4/10 mile is on the schedule in 2 weeks' time. Could this be where Ryan Millington really starts to get back in the championship fight? A stack up further behind is Ronnie Bassett Jr. now looking for the second spot. Hettinger goes into turn 3 deep. She washes up the hill, 3 wide again, and she'll lose a couple of spots to, well, I'm about to say Lane Ridge. That's Josh Berry and Jacob Hefner in the 95.
Boy, poor Katie has just been getting bounced around there in that 71 car, now behind that of Hefner. And when you talk about impressive resumes at this racetrack, Josh Berry, although his car score stats speak for themselves, there's something about Hickory that is phenomenal. He has raced here 11 times prior, 4 wins, looking for win number 5. He's only finished outside of the top 10 twice in those 11 go-arounds, and he's trying to get up to not only the top 5, he's in the top 5, he wants 4th from Hefner.
Oh, Tyrell slides up the hill. He's still saving it. He hangs on. Hettinger gets the worst end of it yet again. Lapsevich goes down to the bottom, sitting top 5 in the series standings right now. What an impressive effort it has been out of that young man. But already early on here, Eric, I'm looking at that 62 car. It's again, this throwback weekend. Josh Berry looking so strong here early on. And again, I think this racetrack is so special for Josh. He started his full-body stock car experience in 2010 with Junior Motorsports, won the track championship at Motor Miles Speedway in 2012. He became the 2014 champion at this racetrack, ran a number of weekly shows, and was winning in just about anything he sat in for Junior Motorsports. It's well chronicled the short track career he has had. But yet, in his kind of one-off appearances in some of these races, think about the Thanksgiving Classic at Southern National Motorsports Park, probably one of the best finishes we've ever seen in a late model stock car race. He came up just a bit shy of that. I think he's ready to go in this one.
And while Connor Hall appears to be biding his time, he's definitely got a bit of a Congo line developing behind him. And the first car to apply pressure is that silver number 14 of Ronnie Bassett Jr. Just 2 races ago, Ronnie and team had to load up their car at Dominion Raceway after being one of 2 cars to not make the show in qualifying. He rebounded spectacularly at Caraway, picking up a top 10 effort there. And they appear to have found something with this race team and the extra motivation of helping out Billy and Rhonda Roche of Best and Retire and the Campbell family for that D. Campbell livery. And he is running in the 3rd spot, pressuring our points leader and pole sitter for 2nd.
Honoring D. Campbell, they had the D. Campbell Racing t-shirts all ready to go as well. They went all out for this throwback effort, and shout out to the Roach family who's so supportive of making this happen for him. But what a turnaround it would be for Bassett. Again, so many times, especially towards the second half of last year, we talked about that 04 car being up front, challenging for a race win. To tonight finally be the night that he would break through for what would be a first Z-Max Cars Tour victory. This is Landon Huffman, further back in the field, just ahead of Carson Quapple and defending race winner in Brent Cruz. And now Bassett still heading the back end of that 17 car, looking for the 2nd spot.
And Hall, again, not sure if he's struggling with the handle of this car. If he's just willing to bide his time. As we drop back here, we see Cruz momentarily inside of Huffman. There is so much happening. Got a car off the pace. It's Trayton Lapsevich up the track and slowing to a stop in turns 3 and 4. And that will draw the first Shitty Coolers caution of the night for Trayton Lapsevich. We mentioned during the starting lineup, as it appears as though something has gone amiss on that right front. It could be that right front Hoosier tire. This car, a nod to 2000 Canadian Motorsports Hall of Fame inductee Junior Hanley, who has been a longtime supporter of Trayton. In fact, he was with him in 2017 when he first tested a late model stock car. Junior's career includes highlights from the Oxford 250, the Red Bud 400, the World Series of Asphalt, and more. And Trayton felt this was the perfect time to slap his colors on the side of his race car as he searched for his first career win.
Now, there is a new rule that has come into play in the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear. It has traditionally been, Eric, that the penalty was if a car or a driver was deemed to have intentionally brought out a caution, that it would traditionally be a 1-lap penalty, as well as ineligibility for the next Shitty Coolers caution to be the lucky dog or the free pass, I guess I should say. The new rule that came down from Cars Tour officials over the last week is that has been upped, that they've looked at a couple of different circumstances and are trying to discourage a couple of different drivers and teams from perhaps taking some acts. So they have upped that to a minimum of a 3-lap penalty with the potential to add on more. And not saying whether that is the case in this with this 72 car, but that is a new procedure that is in play this week that is different from where we were last competing at Caraway.
Ryan Millington out front. We're going to take a quick break and be right back here for the restart at Hickory right after these short messages.
Hendrick. It's the perfect time to find an affordable vehicle. Visit HendrickCars.com and shop our large selection, including over 1,000 vehicles priced under $20,000. Plus, drive today but pay later with our payment deferral and 0 down options. Buy from the name you know and trust. Hendrick has received over 650,000 5-star online reviews. Over 1,000 vehicles under $20,000. Find yours at HendrickCars.com.
Lessen the noise of the track, not the rush of the race. With Sound Gear, hearing protection solutions that lap the competition. Perfect for racers, crew, fans, or anyone who works or plays in loud places. Sound Gear, official hearing protection sponsor of Z-Max Cars Tour. Sound Gear, ready for anywhere sound is a problem.
Back with you here for the restart. The HendrickCars.com pace car comes down. We are hearing word from race officials that penalty was assessed to the number 72 of Creighton Lapsevich. As we get back underway, just a mere 15 laps into this one, Ryan Millington has taken the race lead from Connor Hall and led every lap since. But now Ronnie Bassett Jr. looking for the second spot.
Ronnie Bassett Jr., an article put together by NASCAR.com's Brandon White, said the one thing that he wants to do more than ever is take his family to Cookout Victory Lane. They are always with him at driver introductions. Tonight was no exception. He's battling for second, but there's a Hornets nest behind him with Connor Jones getting knocked sideways, and he's got some side skirt flailing on the left side.
I'd say that's dragging on the right, or rather the left side of that race car is how about Andrew Grady? Talked about him moving forward. He gets it done on the top side to go up into the 7th spot. Is Connor Jones ailing with some of the damage? Now Bobby McCarty's going to try to go on by, and I don't think it's going to be any easier as McCarty all the way down on the apron to avoid making contact with that 40 car, but it looks like the damage has cleared itself with a little bit of contact.
Yeah, they may have shipped that up towards the top side of turns 1 and 2. Race is green. Speaking of drivers who need a turnaround, how about that 23 of Cade Brown? Defending champion at this racetrack, picked up his 5th DNF of the season last time out at Caraway. Last year he led the most laps here as Hedinger gives a shot to the backside of Andrew Grady.
Right now, Hedinger looks a little tight off of turn 2. You see the speed that car is able to carry on entry right now. Bobby McCarty, though, able to get a better run off the corner. That 6 car looked down to the inside, looking for what would be the 8th position. Hedinger, may have caught a piece of the wall off of turn 2 as McCarty slips on by.
We heard the pre-race report from Jacqueline about the mentality of that 6th cam coming into tonight's race. Judging by the way in which he's carving his way forward, it appears as though that is the mantra they have set forth for the remaining 100 and soon to be 1 laps, with a caution on the racetrack. And it is for debris in turns 1 and 2. We believe it might be some of that side skirt that came off the number 40 car of Connor Jones.
And again, that was trapped underneath that 40 car, but was dragging along, and I think it was that contact that he had with Bobby McCarty getting into turn 1 that sprung that free. 7 laps into this run, we will be slowed by another shitty Coolers caution.
Zilish almost picked it up and took it with him. He was riding up on the top side of the racetrack there.
So caution for debris down in turn number 1. We'll step aside real quick and be back for the rest of the way in the Throwback 276 at Hickory.
Want an easy way to help take care of your vehicle? Z-Max Micro Lubricant. Z-Max Micro Lubricant is a DIY solution that pours into your fuel and oil. Z-Max proprietary molecules are uniquely small, so they literally soak into the metal, dispersing harmful carbon deposits. This improves horsepower, extends engine life, and reduces emissions. Z-Max is good for your car, your wallet, and the environment. Can be used in new or used vehicles. Available at zmax.com or your local auto parts store.
Back with you here at Hickory Motor Speedway as you get a great vantage point of all the history, all the character that is in this racetrack from the back end of the HendrickCars.com pace car. Of course, you can see the Leisure Time Reynolds Chevrolet Ryan Millington currently leading the way at Hickory Motor Speedway, but all the concrete patches, the bumps, I just love looking at this shot because Hickory Motor Speedway is such a historic racetrack. It has so much character. And just getting a great vantage point right here, you can see all the nooks and crannies that make this racetrack so unique and so special for a driver to win in.
And if you look up the facts about this speedway as we come to the choose this time by, the website will tell you that the banking from each end of the racetrack, turns 1 and 2 and turns 3 and 4, it varies by a couple of degrees. This venue is not symmetrical at all, and as Blake mentioned, the bumps and the divots on each end of the racetrack also not symmetrical by any stretch of the imagination, so it certainly gives these drivers and teams a lot to have to work against in order to find whatever the right formula is to make their race car go fast.
I know I've listened to broadcasts before. Even your good friend Phil Parsons said if you can win at Hickory, you can win just about anywhere. This is that type of racetrack that only the best you see up front. You can see the results of the choose this time. Ryan Millington will take the bottom. No shocker there, and no surprise to see Bassett Jr. Also jumping up to the top side to try and perhaps fend off. And take the race lead from that of Ryan Millington. Now, for Ronnie Bassett Jr., has not led a single lap in his C-Max Cars Tour career, so is in prime position to do that in his 25th start in the series. HendrickCars.com pace car pulls down. We'll move into the Death Wish Coffee restart zone. Ryan Millington leading the way. We're back underway at Hickory. Oh, and Bassett may have cut down just a little too early. He may have gotten a little bit of damage on that left front fender as he tried to get down in line and hold Ryan Millington at bay, but so far he will stay on the top side with Connor Hall looking to pounce behind him. Hefner may have gotten shoved up the hill behind.
Silver colors of that number 14 car do appear to show the slightest of blemishes just to the side of what would be the headlight on that Chevy Camaro bodied race car. Nevertheless, Bassett's going to be able to slide back into second position and try to chase down Millington for the lead. And see that little crinkle right there in front of the
easy to see with that paint scheme too.
Does us all a favor.
Yeah, a little bit easier. And again, not something that I think will significantly hurt the handling of that car, but you can definitely see some of the pains that he is having to deal with right now is Jacob Hefner trying to get the job done on the top side. And Minnie Tyrell, you know, we talk about guys like Ryan Millington, the 15 car that have been knocking on the door of a win. Minnie Tyrell exploded onto the scene in the early portion of this season. I think he's in prime position to be able to have that. Hasn't necessarily had a lot of luck play out the last couple of months, but is able to make it work right now. He's up into the 5th spot. Continue to work on through, more battling further on back. Brent Cruz, who's had his work cut out for him, trying to get around Katie Hettinger.
Well, we watched this battle all the while. Brendan Butterbean Queen has dropped to the back of the field, and I'm not sure if this is an aggressive form of saving his stuff, but he has fallen all the way to the tail of the pack, while Hettinger and Cruz continue their side-by-side battle and contact off the corner.
Again, I wouldn't be shocked if Butterbean employed that strategy, but from what I've heard from these drivers with this new ST2 tire, it would be much more difficult for him to accomplish that feat if he were to come back to the front of the field. This is the battle for third that is all stacking up behind the 17 of Connor Hall, Josh Berry, Minnie Tyrell, Jacob Hefner, all nose to tail looking for a way around the Nelson Motorsports Timothy Peters throwback.
I think Hall knows what he wants his pace to be right now, and Josh Berry doesn't appear to be all that comfortable with it. He gave a warning shot right here about a lap ago. Now there's some separation between the nose of that 62 and the back bumper of the 17, with Tyrell and Hefner waiting in the wings to see how this fight for third is going to shake out.
And Berry just looking so smooth. Looks like that race car is driving to his liking at the moment. Reminiscent of so many times throughout the years in Cars Tour competition, late model stock car competition. You can see a little damage on the right front there for Bobby McCarty, but it has not slowed his march up to the front. He's up into the 7th position for now. Grady back to 8th is now Berry peeking down to the inside off of 2, trying to make a move on Connor Hall.
Oh, they're just about locked together there in 3 and 4. Berry now may have an avenue to duck low in turn 1, and Hall's going to give him the room.
And again, I think that's a smart move for Connor Hall. He'll try to let Berry by before Minnie Tyrell gets in line, and indeed he does. And again, I think that's a smart decision from the Nelson Motorsports camp, whether it's spotter, driver, whoever made that decision. Again, Josh Berry, you're not racing him for a championship. You have a lot to lose. Josh Berry, he's out here to win a race, which would be yet another on his illustrious resume here at the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear. Would be his 23rd if he went to victory lane. But if you're Connor Hall, you got a little bit of bigger picture.
Caution!
Oh.
Big crash off the corner.
Connor Jones.
And I think, look at the right side of that race car. He caught the tire that protects the end of the pit wall. And you see Connor trying to drive the car away. That car is destroyed.
Goodness. And you're exactly right. You can see the tire marks and everything. There is a thick yellow tire that is implanted into the ground at the very tail end of pit road that, as you said, protects drivers from hitting the very jagged edge of that concrete wall sticking out. And my goodness, could the year get any worse for Deke McCaskill, who may have had nowhere to go, has jumped over to running for his family-owned race team But yet you can see his 08 parked here on the front straightaway and a hefty amount of damage. Also saw Landon Huffman, who spun in that wreck but looks to be okay. We'll see it one more time. Oh my gosh. That is a brutal impact, and that was a battle with Katie Hettinger, it looked to be, for Connor Jones, who has had his fair share of hard hits. You think back to the spring of this race with Jacob Hefner, he gets turned head-on into the wall on the front straightaway, and now such an awkward angle to hit that. As you can see, kind of the remnants there for Carson Quapple. Has a little bit of damage on the nose of his 8 car.
Going to try to take another look at this here. All the way on the left side of your frame, and I don't know if Connor got into Katie, and it appears to be just a massive jam up, but that is the worst possible impact. Only exception being if that was on the driver's side. And we saw Connor immediately drive that car back to the pit area in what is a frightening crash for the driver who finished runner-up in the Pro Late Model event, is Deke McCaskill being surveyed the damage on his family-owned race car. We are under the red flag here for the Cars Tour Late Model Stock event after a scary, scary wreck off turn 4.
Back with you here at the Hickory Motor Speedway. As you can see, Ryan Millington's Leisure Time Reynolds Chevrolet parked at the front of the field after a terrible crash off of turn 4, the second such this season for Connor Jones, who took a remarkable impact to the right side of his race car just on the very tail end of pit road. We'll show this vantage point for you once again. You're going to have to look at the left-hand side of your screen. You could see Hettinger, Brett Cruz, Connor Jones all kind of stack up, and Jones gets the worst end of it. You can also see the Robert Huffman throwback that Landon Huffman is with this weekend, involved in that. But my goodness, I mean, that is just, again, so happy to see Connor Jones, who drove his car back to where his pit area was, which was in the inside of turns 1 and 2. You're very grateful to see that, but you have to imagine he's a little shaken up after that.
It reminds me of a Cup Series crash that Mark Martin had several years ago at Michigan, although that car whipped back around to where the abutment of the wall went behind the driver's compartment, and luckily that tractor tire was there. If it wasn't for that tractor tire, you could only imagine the sheer amount of devastation that would have been done to the side of that race car. And again, it took Connor a couple of seconds to put the car in gear and somehow drive it back, but it is an unbelievable effort for him to get that back there after what was a brutal, brutal wreck. All right, let's go down as we continue under the red flag. Let's go down and check in with Jacqueline.
Standing here trackside with Connor Jones, just involved in that incident. The car looks awful, Connor. I'm glad that you're okay coming out of that. But talk to me about what's going through your mind right now. I know some emotions are flying back here in the pit area.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. You know, you got Katie out here complaining because she's getting run over every week, and she's saying it's because she's a girl and stuff. It's not. It's because you brake check people in the center of the corner. It is what it is. It causes massive pileups and stuff like that. And I hate it for deking them, but I can't do nothing when I'm getting brake checked every lap. So I'm sure they're going to be mad. I'm sure they're going to be complaining and calling me, telling me I'm racing like that because it's a girl. No, it's because they brake checked me in the center of the corner. So before they come and yell at me, they need to rewatch what they do. So yeah, overall we had a really good piece from Mike Darn Racing. They brought me down a really solid piece. We qualified 9th. Had a lot more speed than that. Just trying to save and get back to the front. Definitely going from the pro to the late model stock hurts you a little bit. You're not used to it, so yeah.
Connor Jones retiring early this evening in the late model stock division.
And again, really thank Connor Jones for taking the time to chat with us. And again, just want to echo that we are grateful that he is okay. And as we get a second look at the damage on the 8 car here, Eric, we saw it initially. It was not only some front-end damage, it's some rear-end damage, but it looks to be much more significant than what we initially thought.
The question's going to be when that car's under load, is the bodywork going to lay on that right rear tire? Continuing the cleanup here on the front straightaway. A quick break, and we'll be back for the restart.
In stock car racing, every second matters, and you have to have the right fuel so that your car can run at maximum efficiency. It's the same way with our bodies. What we consume can make or break our health. So that's why I take Velasta, the most powerful natural antioxidant on the planet. It's like juicing 1,000 carrots, 1,000 tomatoes, and over 1,200 cups of blueberries per day. It helps give me the energy I need to get back to doing what I love. So take control of your health. Take Velasta.
Every weekend, it seems like we're at a racetrack somewhere. So we're living it, we're doing it. And I think it helps us relate whenever they call. If they need more grip or they need more turn, we do it all the time. All of the fixtures we do, from our steering dyno to our rear end straightening jig, it's the same fixtures, same tools that we would build a rear end housing that's going to run a NASCAR race as we do a rack or a steering box to go on a street stock. We treat them all the same way because, they deserve the same quality. Everybody does.
And it is time to go all in with Kubota High Limit Racing. This is the High Limit Room. It's the home of 24 high rollers.
Back at Hickory, continuing to circulate under the caution. Let's take a look at next week's events that we got streaming live on FloRacing. The Short Track Super Series with back-to-back nights of action, July 30th and 31st. The USAC Indiana Sprint Week kicks off July 31st with 4 nights of racing at 4 different racetracks. The PDRA Northern Nationals from US 131 Motorsports Park is going on August 1st through the 3rd, and you can catch 3 nights of the Southern Nationals beginning August 1st. The Wheel of Modified Tour is going to make a stop at Lancaster Motorplex August 3rd, and the 410 Sprint Cars will compete at Port Royal Speedway as well on August 3rd. Another very busy week of racing action on Flo. For more information on everything we've got streaming next week and more, head on over to floracing.com/events.
Throwback with you here at Hickory Motor Speedway. You can see the car that is up front, and again, we kind of touched on it just before we went green a little bit earlier. We had that explanation of this new rule that was introduced to the ZMAX Cars Tour for cars that were deemed as intentionally bringing out a caution, whether it's an intentional spin, a flat tire, or any of those situations where they deem that the caution could have been avoided. They will levy a minimum of a 3-lap penalty, and that's why you can see Trayton Lapsevich up at the front of the field right now, that he was not eligible for the wave around or for the free pass for the first Shitty Coolers caution that we had following the issuance of that penalty, but now has the opportunity, once some of this cleanup commences again, a little bit of speedy dry, as you can see in our shots kind of passing by. A lot of it had to be put down. I know we talked about Connor Jones and the impact he had, but Deke McCaskill laid down a significant amount of fluid in the middle towards the bottom end of the racetrack on the front stretch. So that is where the majority of the cleanup effort has gone these last couple of minutes. As, again, a lot of amenities around this racetrack, but Throwback Weekend, they always do it right here at Hickory.
Yeah, a lot of amenities for the children. I know that my wife brought our daughter Robbie out here a little bit earlier.
Even a Landon Huffman trailer out there.
Yeah, the merch trailers are out there as well. And, man, a lot of the young fans taking advantage of this downtime to go have a little bit of a blast over there outside of turns 3 and 4. Now, not only do we have Brandon Willard up on the flag stand, we've got a junior flagger just behind him, waving his own set of silks as well.
Taking some notes indeed. As you can see that speedy dry starting to blow on the left-hand side of your screen. Also about that merch, there's a lot of drivers out at this racetrack. If you don't have the fortune of being here tonight at the Hickory Motor Speedway on FloRacing, the Grassroots Global merch trailer was out, so many of these drivers, including Ryan Millington, Brandon Pierce, a lot of drivers who are tied in with that and being able to sell their merchandise out here, as well as all the folks at Black Acid Apparel and all they do for RNS race cars and some of those shirts. So plenty of merch available both here at the racetrack and online if you're looking to support many of these drivers. We'll go back on the pace car as we see the results of the choose. Think there's just one more car to settle in the correct place in line before we get back going here at Hickory. Still a long ways to go in this one. I feel like a lot has happened in such a short amount of time, but Eric, it's one thing about these Hickory races, they tend to draw on a little bit longer than what we're typically used to seeing, and sometimes a 125 lap race can feel twice that length at this racetrack. Intercars.com pace car will pull back down to the safety of the pit lane. Millington, Bassett, your top two. We're back underway at Hickory. Bassett able to clear for second, but maybe no. Josh Berry down to the inside looking for third. Hall on his outside, now looking to reclaim that spot. Tyrell looks like he's clear up into fifth. Hefner and McCarty behind him side by side for sixth.
Right now, Connor Hall is doing a really good job being able to take the fight to that of Berry on that top lane as they work their way off turn number 4. And it looks like he is going to protect the third spot on the main straightaway and stop the progression of that of Berry, who will have to continue to ride in the 4th position with Tyrell just behind in the 81.
And how much it would mean for somebody like Connor Hall, who has been intentional in saying that, yes, I want to start looking a little bit higher up the racing ladder. What an opportunity this presents, not only for Connor Hall in the 17, but for every driver out here to compete against one of the best. Again, there's been some shifts in this series throughout the last couple of years as Josh Berry has gone on to run in the NASCAR Xfinity Series and the NASCAR Cup Series. And some of them didn't necessarily get to race all that much with Josh Berry. Anytime you can run in front of the 62 car, it says a lot about you. So I'm sure many drivers are looking forward to that opportunity to finish in front of Berry if they're able to do so. This is further on back. We mentioned Jacob Hefner starting to fall on back, and Andrew Grady, who's moved on forward. I gotta say, Quample is doing a lot. Was wondering how much that damage was going to slow him down. It appears as though it's not hurting him too much for the moment, as he's just behind this battle, just outside of the top 10.
And behind Quapple, when we continue to watch this side-by-side battle between Grady and Hefner, you've got Mason Diaz in the 51 up to 12th after overheating earlier in this race, and that 5 car, Brendan Butterbean Queen, at the time of the massive wreck that put us under the red flag, he was the last car on the lead lap. I think he answered our question. He may have been just riding as he's trying to float his way to the front, as these two are just locked together, with Quapple getting a nudge aside behind him by Diaz.
Very quickly, Diaz and Huffman. Oh, as Quapple gets tagged, he'll save the race car. More damage incurred on the 8 as Diaz slid into the middle of 1 and 2. Now Quapple tries to get down. Huffman will give him a shove. Quapple drifting all the way around turn 4 as he's still hanging on to it, but that car not driving to his liking right now, and the contact probably ain't helping.
That save in turn 2 was amazing. And you see how badly crinkled up the front valence of that car is, or I should say the front bumper of that car is, with Huffman, who is just involved in the spin, trying to get up to the 14th spot. That's what that race is for, with Connor Zilisch just ahead of that battle. As there is hard-fought racing happening all around this 3/8 of a mile oval.
Huffman and Quapple side by side. Again, Huffman honoring his father, Robert Huffman, who was the track champion here in 1989. In 1998, he did so twice. This was the paint scheme that he won here in his final late model stock car win at Hickory Motor Speedway that came all the way back in 1993. He spoke to Landon earlier today. He was wearing an original Throwback shirt, or the original shirt, I guess, not the throwback version of that shirt, which if you know Landon Huffman, not too much of a shocker there, but is able to make his way by Carson Quapple. And by the way, I saw it on that shot there. Weren't we just talking about Butterbean as the last car on the lead lap, and yet he's 3 cars in front of what we were just talking about?
There he is in that number 5 tonight. And we talked about the throwbacks that are out there. This is the nod to his car owner, Lee Podium, back when he won his 2015 NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series Championship. It was his 3rd of 4 of such honors. They kept the surprise from Lee up until the middle of the week. And you're right, Blake. We thought perhaps something may have been amiss on that car. Butterbean is proving he was just biding his time. He is all over Andrew Grady in the Jeff Gordon Baby Ruth number 1 throwback in 3.
Again, quickly trying to make up all of that track position that he lost on the initial start of the race as he looks down to the inside. Very Lee Pulliam-esque if he could drive all the way up through this field. Not only paying homage, but if he could win. And we'll see if what Lee's able to do here is Grady gets a door from Butterbean. Is he going to return the favor in turn 1? Yes, he does, but is not able to upset the back end of that 5 car. And Butterbean may just drive away here.
Here comes the April winner, Connor Zilisch, trying to keep Grady up off the bottom. Zilisch became the 2nd driver ever to win a Cars Tour sanctioned late model stock race from outside the top 10 here last spring. When he came to the green flag tonight, he was 17. If he could back it up and sweep the year at Hickory, that would be the furthest back anyone has ever started to win a Cars Tour event here, with Mason Diaz arriving on the scene in what is now a 3-car race.
Huffman also got clear behind them as he's moving up to this battle. Again, 70 laps to go. We're not even halfway through this one, and yet storylines galore as Zilisch gets checked up trying to get by Andrew Grady. Diaz, I think, has a horse that he can ride with here tonight. He's just got to get these 2 in front of him to settle the score quickly, as Grady mentioned his march through the field. Now just trying to hang on. He's fighting loose in that race car as he gets another shove from Connor Zilisch.
Mason Diaz in that number 51. We did a story on him earlier. Jacqueline was down there to talk to him as they all about come together like a train tied from one car to another. Diaz said this deal came together rather late as he's in the back of Zilisch off the corner. Huffman's back there as well. 5 cars under a blanket in turn 1, with Diaz being the meat in the sandwich.
This is all for 11th. This isn't even for the lead. This is for a spot outside of the top 10 right now. Grady doing a masterful job hanging on. Zilisch not quite having the car to try and make that pass anywhere but the bottom of the racetrack. And Diaz has been chomping at the bit to get by both of these two. Now he finally gets to the inside of that Cale Yarborough throwback.
The tie there in those colors, Lauren Renier, longtime spotter across the top disciplines in the NASCAR Cup Series and all other forms of motorsports as well. A part of this Pinnacle Racing group, Lauren's late father was the car owner of the car in which Cale Yarborough drove with those Hardee's colors during the years in which he found success. Well, that fight continues. How about Kane Brown knocking on the door for 6th on Minnie Tyrell?
Oh, trouble back straightaway. Andrew Grady hard into the inside wall as he goes around off of turn number 2. He tried to settle back in line and had contact with Mason Diaz. And halfway home, Grady in the Baby Ruth car is sitting on the inside of the racetrack.
And you can see how badly shifted the rear end of that race car is. The driver's side may look quite clean. The passenger side of that vehicle, particularly on the back, is where the impact came on the inside wall after he got turned from a fight that we've kept our eyes on for several laps straight in what was a fight for 11th spot on back. The window net is down on Grady's car as you see the safety officials on the scene immediately, and Grady is not happy. Andrew is someone who has been known to race with his heart on his sleeve and in good measure, and he appears motivated to make it known that he is not pleased with one of his fellow competitors.
And I think, yep, it's the 51. Oh, no, it's Landon Huffman. Again, saw it out of the corner of my eye. It was a tussle between the 51 and the 37, all jockeying for position.
You see Grady talking through the fence to some of his fellow Twerp Chassis and TG Motorsports teammates about the impact that that car took. You see Grady there holding his side for a moment. And again, the impact came to that inside retaining wall with the right side of the race car, and Quapple's got even more damage on the front nose of his machine.
Again, there were 3 or 4 cars all stacked up. We had shown that battle the last number of laps, and it continued. As we'll see the accordion effect, exactly who was involved. Grady gets the first end of it. Down the inside of turn 1, Diaz and Grady. Looks like Diaz is able to clear, but a little bit of contact between the 51 and the 1 just in front of him. And I think Huffman, by that point, had committed to the top side off the corner. And he gets into the back of Grady. Grady gets the worst end of it and hits the inside wall hard. And that will end his night on what has been a promising effort tonight and a promising season for this Twerp Chassis group. We'll be back. More to come for the Throwback 276 at Hickory.
FloRacing standing by here with Andrew Grady, who's just involved in that incident. I know we were just talking a little bit about it, but for the viewers, what happened there with Landon and you?
In the words of Denny Hamlin, Landon Huffman's a hack. It's no wonder he lost his ride with the 22. I mean, man, we're 60 laps in, running 12th, 10th, whatever the hell it was. He just never turned me loose. So now, brand new race car's killed, and he's still racing, but it's all good. I'll catch him after the race.
You know, Blake, I mentioned, Andrew is someone who races with his heart on his sleeve. And granted, we've seen in the past before, he's shown his displeasure with other competitors when he feels like he's been done wrong. And I've talked to Andrew about his passion for the sport, and he's not much of a me guy, he's much of a team guy. And I think he fully bears the burden of what the team has to endure to put a race car on the track, get it to be race ready. And I think that is pretty much the cornerstone of where that level of passion and commitment comes from for Andrew. Not only for what he's fighting for on the racetrack, but what his teams have been doing for him off the racetrack. He feels as though he has to carry that responsibility, thus the level of passion that we've seen displayed from him on several occasions before.
It's no shocker to see that as we come to the choose. Same decision up front between your top two, the 15 and the 14 of Ryan Millington and Ronnie Bassett Jr. As we saw once again, Trayton Lapsevich, kind of mentioned that he got that 3-lap penalty. He's made up a couple of laps now. He'll have another potential Shitty Cooler's caution, competition yellow, to perhaps get back on the lead lap. And the fact that he's been able to back off, he's saving a ton right now.
Point.
Yeah, so, I watched him over that last run. He's already a lap down. He's not fighting anybody that's on his lap, so he's been saving a ton. And I know he may not be able to drive up through the field, but if we get one more Shitty Cooler's caution, I'm telling you, that's 72. May not be out of the running yet.
Yeah, and hey, let him keep fighting up front. Let him keep tearing things up. I'll scoot by it all when the carnage is done.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. I think Trayton could be a force to be reckoned with if he gets one more.
HendrickCars.com pace car is down through the Death Wish Coffee restart zone. Another great launch on the inside once again for Ryan Millington. But Bassett hanging tough on the high side. Millington will clear into the race lead. Connor Hall, big wiggle as he tries to look for second on the inside of Bassett.
Hall still trying to keep that car pinned on the bottom, and Bassett's going to get the drive off, but not enough to clear the bow of the 17 car of Hall as he continues to try to keep a fender inside, but Bassett will protect second spot on the backstretch.
Couple of newcomers towards the front as Jacob Hefner squeezed in the middle 3 wide. Brendan Queen, how in the world has he driven up into the top 10? And beyond that, in just a mere handful of laps, Cade Brown is on the charge. We see Bobby McCarty up in the top 5. A bunch of drivers have made up a ton of spots in very little time, and Queen is one of the fastest cars on the racetrack right now, despite what's in front of him.
It wasn't that long ago that I thought there could be something amiss with that 5 car as he sounded off song on the front straightaway. Turns out he was just saving, constantly running half throttle. All around the pack, there is spirited fights happening for position in the top 10. This one on your picture between Cade Brown and Minnie Tyrell. That's for 6th.
Brown, high expectations that he and his Matt Piercy racing team have had every time they show up in Hickory. Was chatting with him a little bit earlier on today, and he said, well, one thing that we've never done here at Hickory Motor Speedway before is not qualify on the front row. The first time that ever happened was in the spring in the Z-Max Car Tour race earlier this year. It speaks to the competition, but Cade Brown had very high expectations coming into this season, but it's another level when you come to a racetrack that he has been just flat out dominant nearly every time he has been out here. So good to see that they are rising to those expectations, and I'm sure looking for a little bit more in the second half of this race. Ryan Millington took home $500 as the iRacing halfway lap leader several laps ago as we got back going under the green flag, and here he comes continuing to march up through the field. It is not lead podium, ladies and gentlemen. It is Brendan Queen, finds his way by Minnie Tyrell up into 7th now.
There were a lot of Butterbean fans in the front stretch grandstands who started to clap their way on as that 5 car started to pick up a few spots fresh off his 3rd Hampton Heat victory 1 week ago. As we flash forward to the battle for the lead, and when you talk about the complexion of the season with the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear, Although I wouldn't necessarily say that Ryan Millington or Ronnie Bassett Jr. winning would be an upset based on their success over the last 2 seasons, it would certainly be some feel-good stories out of these two who have been looking and showing flashes of brilliance all year long to perhaps maybe have it all come together tonight on a night that means so much for all full-time competitors.
Also want to issue a correction earlier. You were talking about Lapsevich getting back on the lead lap. Guess what? He is on the lead lap.
Wow.
So he doesn't have any more shitty coolers cautions to look forward to. He is continuing to make up spots, and right now is up into the 17th position. So just wanted to issue a correction on that. But you can see Ryan Millington several car lengths ahead of Ronnie Bassett Jr. This is the battle for 4th, and these two, well, they have a little bit of a history together racing late model stocks in the Z-Max Cars Tour. Bobby McCarty, Josh Berry. Berry's going to let McCarty on by in 2. Does he look back low in turn 3? Doesn't look like it's doing this corner for Josh Berry.
McCarty wanted to make it known that he felt he had a faster piece right now as there are 50 laps to go in this race, with McCarty now up to 4th, Berry back to 5th, Cade Brown in 6th.
Last couple of laps, that lead that Millington had started to grow is now starting to shrink just a little bit. That last time, though, it stayed about even between your top two and Ryan Millington and Ronnie Bassett Jr. And for fans who have been watching late model stock car racing and the Z-Max Cars Tour for a very long time, they know the name Ryan Millington. They know the name Ronnie Bassett Jr. Bassett going up with his family in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, took the step back a year ago to focus and get back to their roots in late model stock car racing. Had some very strong showings a year ago. And chatting with Ronnie throughout the season, they have just been talking about, we just got to get this black cloud clear of our head. And I think they did it. A couple weeks ago in Tri-County, they actually dominated at that racetrack, the same one that he lost his race car in Cars Tour practice earlier this year, and he ran second too. That driver that's ahead of him, trouble, Brandon Pierce into the outside wall. Trace Lapsevich involved as well. At the top end of turns 3 and 4. The shitty coolers caution is out once again.
And that was a hard hit to the left rear of the 2 car, the Carroll Speed Shop number 2 with Brandon Pierce. For the second time tonight, Drayton Lapsevich has a flat right front tire, and that too just would not stop rolling as he made his way up the racetrack in what is his 14th start with the Z-Max Cars Tour here at Hickory. You can see how wrinkled up the bodywork is. The hope is they're not going to be in a position where they got to put a new clip on that car, but it is hobbling its way back to the pit area.
And it's going to have a task trying to get around the 72 car that he was just involved in the incident with, because Lapsevich is right at the entry of pit road working on that car. As we'll take a look at it one more time. This is battling off the turn 2, and yet the red contact gets the right front down on the 72. No intention there, just hard racing, but as soon as that tire was cut, there's nothing that Lapsevich could do.
And I think the good thing is that our hard-working crew here and our FloRacing camera operators, and by the way, it was incredibly hot and humid here earlier on this afternoon, and they were out there in the elements, and it's still quite warm, even though the sun is set. They were able to catch that shot as the tire went down. You could visibly see the sparks coming out of the right side. I don't know that maybe Brandon Pierce may absolve all liability from the 72 car based on his thoughts how they got together initially, but that tire was clearly down after the first bit of contact off too, resulting in this hard backing into the wall in that Carroll Speed Shop number 2 car.
Caught a perfect angle of it too for a battle that was further back in the pack, so good job, Flow Team. Got the best in the business here.
As always. Get a close-up look there to some of the damage on that car. Unfortunately for Pierce, he's coming off what was his second DNF at Caraway. If they can't get this car back out there, and they do not appear to be too eager to even try to do so, this will be his 3rd DNF of the season.
And again, it has been a long weekend for this number 2 team, as they had a number of issues, not only at the Hampton Heat 1 week ago with this car, but was continuing to work through that this weekend. Had a number of fuel pickup issues that they were working through early on in the day. Even got a couple of additional practice laps earlier today after late model stock car and pro late model practice had concluded. Danny Willard allowed this team to run some additional laps so they could get more time to test and work on this race car. The Carroll Speed Shop bunch has had their hands full, and unfortunately not going to come to a desirable end here at Hickory tonight. So past the halfway point here in the Throwback 276 to the Death Wish Coffee restart zone. Another fantastic launch up front for Ryan Millington. 47 laps to go at Hickory. Oh, Connor Hall drifted all the way through the corner. He saves it. McCarty checks up. Now he's 3 wide for a moment with Barry. Barry pulls on the binders. Here comes Brendan Queen looking to the inside.
Butterbean thought about making it 3 wide on Barry. Thought better of it. The opportunity may exist off 2. Hall to 3rd. Bassett 2nd. Double wide outside the top 5. That's Barry in the 62. Tyrell in the 81. And then the 5 of Queen and the 28 of Zilish up into the top 10.
Couple of laps after these restarts, you can just see the bottom and how it stacks up as Barry fishtailing it off to turn 2. Connor Zilish, who, like he did in the spring, looking to go to the outside. Barry is loose. Queen checks up. Cruz also has to check up to avoid damage as Josh Barry is somehow saving it. Queen now has contact from Barry.
And where in the world did Katie Hedinger come from? She ripped the top 3 wide to get around all those cars after being involved in the major crash with that of Connor Jones. Hedinger back up to 8th.
The one thing you have to worry about for Brendan Queen just behind, is that going to be a tire rub on the left rear tire of that number 5 car? Meanwhile, back up front, battle for second starting to pick up between Ronnie Bassett Jr. and his D. Campbell Throwback in the number 14, and Connor Hall in the 17, who I think once he lost the lead...
Oh, we got a hard crash and fire in turn 1. One car has gone in hard, and that's Buddy Isles. And Isles is quick to climb out of that car that is ablaze underneath the hood of that Dale Earnhardt Olympic Throwback from the 1996 All-Star race. To the approval of the crowd as Isles got out of that car quickly, and he is expressing displeasure with what appeared to be Carson Quapple driving by. And that is not the type of Olympic torch that Buddy Isles was trying to light here tonight. As he walks away from that race car, this was his first race with this new Van Dyke Racing Performance team. Had to miss Caraway amidst the transition in what is a foray into full-time, full-bodied asphalt stock car racing. And unfortunately, that car is destroyed in turn number 1. You see the badly bandaged and damaged number 8 car to that of Carson Quapple from multiple circumstances throughout the night. And evidently, Buddy Isles felt that this one in the first corner involved him as well. Buddy fortunate enough to walk down to the pit area. Jacqueline Drake is with Buddy Isles, who has climbed from that car. Fortunately okay. He's with Jacqueline.
Yeah, thank God you're okay there. That was a hard hit over in turns 1 and 2. Buddy, what happened there?
Just got ran over by the 8. You know, thanks Dale Jr. Incorporated, I guess. I mean, run over me and killed my left front. Like bust a tire, towed it in and all, and just lost right there going in 3. Went flat and just killed the wall. It was a pretty hard hit. Like killed the clip. So send me some money if you want to. I mean, I ain't got money like y'all do, but send me a check. It's probably about $12,000.
Thanks, Jacqueline. And obviously, we caught Buddy about a minute and a half after he climbed out of that race car in what was his first race with his new team. And you could obviously see the frustrations boiling over there for that of Buddy. And again, not to be reminded the fact that the last time that we saw Buddy, he had a mechanical failure at Dominion Raceway. And then before that, he was involved in a hard crash in turn 1 at Langley. So it's been an abysmal stretch for Buddy in what is his rookie Cars Tour campaign. And this new relationship with his new team in what was once a very beautiful-looking race car comes to a premature end here in spectacular fashion.
Well, and again, Buddy, chatting with him earlier in the season, was just so looking forward to getting laps here. And his spotter, Stephen Dunn, who runs the Stickered Up podcast throughout the course of the season, has been quite honest with him about the step-up in competition at this level and how much he was looking to soak and absorb, moving over from a dirt racing background and coming over to not only late model stock cars, but coming to race against the best late model stock car drivers in the country. And again, I think a good amount of composure, despite the fact, I mean, again, he walked away from his race car a minute prior and was willing to give an interview, so we appreciate his time. However, the cleanup continues on the number 3 Buddy Isles Jr. machine. We'll be back for the conclusion of the Throwback 276 at Hickory.
Want an easy way to help take care of your vehicle? Z-Max Micro Lubricant. Z-Max Micro Lubricant is a DIY solution that pours into your fuel and oil. Z-Max proprietary molecules are uniquely small, so they literally soak into the metal, dispersing harmful carbon deposits. This improves horsepower, extends engine life, and reduces emissions. Z-Max is good for your car, your wallet, and the environment. Can be used in new or used vehicles. Available at zmax.com or your local auto parts store.
Hendrick. It's the perfect time to find an affordable vehicle. Visit HendrickCars.com and shop our large selection, including over 1,000 vehicles priced under 20 grand. Plus, drive today but pay later with our payment deferral and zero down options. Buy from the name you know and trust. Hendrick has received over 650,000 5-star online reviews. Over 1,000 vehicles under 20 grand. Find yours at HendrickCars.com.
It's time to double down. It's time to raise the stakes. And it is time to go all in with Kubota High Limit Racing.
This is the High Limit Room. It's the home of 24 high rollers.
Under the red flag here at Hickory. So let's take a look at some of the biggest events we've got upcoming, streaming live on FloRacing. The Short Track Super Series with back-to-back nights of action, July 30th and 31st, and then August 6th and 7th. July 31st kicks off 4 nights of racing with the USAC Indiana Sprint Week. We've got the PDRA Northern Nationals from US 131 Motorsports Park from August 1st through the 3rd. American Flat Track is back in action at Black Hills August 6th, followed by the Sturgis TT on August 11th. The Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series has 3 nights of racing for the North-South 100 at Florence Speedway beginning August 8th. For more information on can't miss events streaming live on FloRacing, go on over to FloRacing.com/events to learn more and see a full streaming schedule. Of course, Blake, we don't have to wait all that long. It feels like it's been a while since we've been back in action with the Z-Max Cars Tour, but this is a pretty intense stretch. Wasn't the initial plan for these drivers, with the rescheduled Wilkesboro event next Saturday, and then August 9th we go back to Ace for a second trip of the season. 3 races in a row, and it looks like a lot of teams are going to have their work cut out for them for this stretch.
I know that's something that when we were kind of chatting with Kyle Campbell a little earlier on in the night, which again appreciate his time that he had with us on the broadcast, was that there have been a couple of inflection points in the year where we've had a bunch of races stacked up over each other, and again, that hasn't been a product of how this was originally scheduled. Weather has had a good deal to play with that, with the reschedule of New River All-American Speedway that we had earlier in the season, that there was just this patch of time where we went to Southern National Motorsports Park. We had each of the dual openings of the season between the Pro Late Models and the Late Model Stock spread 1 week apart, and then we had a ton of races at the end of that month. As we looked forward into April and into the May months, it was a very busy time for the Cars Tour. Now, these teams, we say, oh, well, there's been a 3-week break for the Z-Max Cars Tour. That doesn't mean that most of these teams and drivers still have not been competing, whether on different teams, whether in different series. The Virginia Late Model Triple Crown had a pair of races since we were last out at Caraway Speedway, so it's been one of those kind of inflection points here for this schedule when you look at the fact that, yes, there are 3 races stacked in back-to-back weekends, of course that being the rainout that we had at North Wilkesboro Speedway earlier this year. But that makes this race even more difficult to swallow when you have an issue like this, or you have a lot of damage. You want to be working on your race car and making it better over what's a very important stretch of the season before we have yet kind of another, I don't want to say lull in the schedule, but more distance between races once we get past this very kind of compact stretch of the season.
See the Junior Motorsports, the brake car, finishing their attempt to try to repair this vehicle after it's pretty much been in a lot of wrong place, wrong time moments throughout the night. Got to mention, with this being a throwback event, there's been a lot of dignitaries who've been here on the property. I know David Reagan was here with Hudson Bolger earlier on tonight. Of course, we got to speak with Robert Huffman earlier, Landon's father, who Landon's throwing it back to his dad. And even some of the members of the motorsports landscape who may not necessarily be former drivers. In fact, fact, there are some current members of the Motorsports Media Group. Just to our right, we've got PRN's Mark Garrow, who's here in attendance, and he's been taking on the sights and sounds of what's been a thrilling night. Michael Fatback McSwain had a throwback in his honor, who was out here as well. Fatback was here on the property. Unfortunately for that driver who was adorning those colors, it was an early end to the night for that, of Graham Holler in his Cars Tour debut. But Blake, not only do I love the colors, not only do I love the sound of these race cars, not only do I love the racing, but we've heard several people throughout the night that we've heard from, whether it be that of Landon Huffman, Kevin Harvick, who we spoke with earlier. Racing is about the people. This event, as we can tell by the grandstands, brings out not only a lot of people, but a lot of great people that love and support our sport, and the Throwback brings that all the more so to the forefront.
You're absolutely right about that. I want to give a shout out to one more person I know really wanted to be here but wasn't quite able to make it work. Steve Post. I know he's been a part of this Throwback event for many years at this racetrack and has seen him at a number of Cars Tour races. In fact, I saw him walk in the pits at Caraway Speedway a number of weeks ago when we had a midweek show. And I know, I don't think he's at a racetrack, but if he's not here, he's usually somewhere at a racetrack, somewhere across the country, no matter what type of racing it is. So would have loved to have seen him out here. No, he had a conflict. He couldn't make it, but somebody that we love seeing it each and every time he's able to come out here to a Cars Tour race.
At the very least, he's watching along somewhere, or he'll be catching up tomorrow as we see the one-to-go signal being given. What's been a wild race so far. Hard to believe, Blake. We still have 42 laps to go.
And it's hard to decide or think of somebody who's a clear favorite. You have Ryan Millington. He's led the whole race. But look at the drivers who have been surging forward. Bobby McCarty, Cade Brown, even Connor Zilish isn't out of this thing. Katie Hettinger's back in the mix. Brendan Queen's back in the top 10. So many names. We don't know who's going to bring home the checkered flag as they work through the Death Wish Coffee restart zone. Perhaps the best launch on the top side that we've seen for Ronnie Bassett Jr. so far, but is still not going to be good enough to get the top spot. Contact behind for third. Cade Brown trying to throw some elbows and get up to the top four.
He's tussling with three-time Hickory winner and Cars Tour champion Bobby McCarty, and he moves up to fourth to that of Brown, while Hall settles into third. Brown to fourth, McCarty back to the inside. Connor Zilish trying to get up there as well, as they are nearly three wide off turn four.
Again, so many drivers that in the back of their mind, they have a car that can win this race. They've been able to pass the likes of Josh Berry and so many of the cars that we've seen at the front of the field for so long. But they all are racing each other. It's not going to be easy. As Queen trying to look to the inside of Connor Zilish off of turn two. He's going to get there. Now Connor Hall once again. We saw this earlier. Bassett was tough on the high side. May not have enough to fend off Connor Hall. In fact, in one corner, Connor Hall goes on by to second.
That may not be what the rest of the competition wants to see. That may solidify the notion that perhaps Hall has a little something more than what he's been showing us all night long, and he may deem now as the time to go. No more opportunities for a competition shitty cooler's caution from this point out. It would have to be of organic causes. Hall up to second, Bassett third, Brown fourth, McCarty in a four-car knot for second on back.
I think the question becomes now, does anybody have anything for Ryan Millington? Has he been stretching out his advantage a little too much? Again, we talk about the balance that you may not have to save as much as you did in the past, but yet it is Hickory. You can't just go all out and run Q-laps every single lap. So is that going to be a case where Millington has pushed a little hard? We've seen the margin he's been able to create each and every time we drop the green flag. Is he creating too much right now, or is he going to have enough to withstand what I'm sure will be a very hungry and very fast Connor Hall by the time we get to the end of this thing? This is further on back. Huffman has driven his way up from the tail end of the field. Again, after that yellow, they decided to pit, make some adjustments, try to do some repair on that car. He's looking for a way by three wide with Drake Lapsevich looking to the bottom side of Hefner and Brandon Jones.
And one name we haven't called all that much tonight is that number 9 car, Brandon Jones, NASCAR Xfinity Series regular, electing to take his off week here to the Hickory Motor Speedway with that Hawk McCall team, and he decided he was going to get out of Dodge when he got kicked up to lane 3. Now we'll follow Lapsevich as there is heavy racing going on here for fourth on back.
Cade Brown got clear of the 6 of McCarty and Minnie Tyrell, but since getting clear has not necessarily set sail before that. This is a battle that's been going on for a number of laps. Brendan Queen trying to have the back end of Connor Zilish, but remember Queen and Josh Berry, we were talking about that Thanksgiving Classic finish. It was pretty physical between these two. Wonder if that influences how they race each other. And also Katie Hettinger catching up to the back of this line. We kind of wrote her off after that incident, but she has driven her way back up into the top 10.
The ability for that 71 car driver and team to rebound after the early misfortune off turn 4 is so impressive after she has had pace throughout the last 2 days here at Hickory, with Zilish continuing to fend off the challenge from Butterbean, who dives to the inside of the start-finish line, and Zilish will concede the bottom to that of Butterbean in the fight for what would be the 7th spot on the racetrack.
And love seeing the line that Connor does. Again, it's so unique here at Hickory. You can see he's taking a wide but high entry into turn 1, getting all that momentum off the corner, and right now Butterbean, that 5 car, is just a little too free off the corner to be able to fend with what Connor's doing. And again, that's what makes Connor Zilish such an impressive talent, being able to make those decisions on the fly. But Queen recognized that. He tried to get to the top side of 1 and 2, not able to do so. Now Barry's looking low. He gets a shot, and now Queen has to collect it.
And that's going to allow Hettinger a chance to peek to the inside of the NASCAR Cup Series driver and that of Berry. They almost get locked together off the corner, and look at Trayton Lapsovich diving down low.
My goodness, Trayton Lapsovich has driven from the back close to the middle of the field nearly twice as Hettinger damage on the left front of that 71 car. That may impede her progress, and she may be hanging on to that race car, but Trayton Lapsovich, I don't know if there's, we don't have a Driver of the Day award in the ZMAX Cars Tour, but he may be in the running for it after all that he's been through tonight.
I second that notion as we move on up here to the battle for 4th. We had a quick glimpse at the driver's second in points on most recent winner, Brett Cruz. He's currently running in 12th. He had to get a push from the push vehicle after the red flag, and he's not been able to move up throughout the field despite all the physical fighting that's been going on, with this being the best battle up in the top 5, with McCarty all over the back of the reigning Hickory Motor Speedway track champion, Cade Brown.
There's so much to keep up with, and we've had that problem all night long. So many battles going on. This is the one for 4th, but yet all throughout the pack there are cars nose to tail, side by side, beating fenders. It's just good old short track racing. This is what we love about Hickory Motor Speedway. But while these two battled for the 4th spot, we talked about the lead that Ryan Millington had. It is starting to narrow. 21 laps to go. It is within 0.6 of a second between Ryan Millington and Connor Hall. And I know we talk about the championship point standings a lot, but this could be a real turning point for Ryan Millington, looking to get back to the championship fight. It's 36 points out right now in the 6th position. But a night like tonight, with Ace Speedway just a couple of weeks away, another track he's incredible at, this could be his opportunity to start a climb towards starting to challenge for this championship.
Veteran versus young gun here on your picture. This for 4th. That's McCarty, the 3-time champion, inside of Cade Brown, who led the most laps in this race 1 year ago. Now trying to hold on to 4th as they about come together off turn 4. Brown's able to hold the spot for now. And it looks as though he will continue to fend off McCarty as the gap between 1st and 2nd has shrunk to about a half a second. And Blake, I think back to Ace Speedway where Millington led 100 laps to watch that race slip away from him in the latter stages. With Hall closing, he definitely does not want to see that same script be written tonight here at Hickory as we're banging doors for 4th spot at the line.
McCarty able to get it now, but you think about that race at Ace, it was a track bar issue that Ryan Millington had that took him out of the running for winning that race. And that's one thing about his running at Hickory. Again, we've talked about the success he's had here at this racetrack, but yet he has one top 10 at Hickory Motor Speedway in his ZMAX Cars Tour race. It has been one thing or another that has kept him out of the top 5 and out of Cookout Victory Lane. Can he hold on here for 14 more laps?
Speaking of holding on, that's what Minnie Tyrell is trying to do there. That was Butterbean to the inside of what was a fight for 6th, but Connor Hall is floating closer and closer to the back bumper of Ryan Millington. And there is some traffic up ahead should this race stay green. It is Carson Quapple, who is the first car up the road from the leaders, and then Isabella Robusto, the first two that these top two are going to have to encounter for this race, sees the checkers.
And if you're Connor Hall, you have to be well aware of the lap traffic that is up the road, that if we continue to run, will play a factor in the end of this race. Coming around this time, it'll be 11 laps to go. Millington looking to lap Carson Quapple, who has had one long night after the damage that he has incurred on his number 8 machine. And again, that lap traffic slows up his cruise. He may be blowing another motor, or perhaps a tire rub and smoke out of the back end of the 29. It sounds like that car is not up to full. So Millington goes all the way down to the apron, and he makes the move work as he gets by Brent Cruz, who is ailing with a mangled race car.
Cruz, who is second in points, as there appears to be a bit of an odor developing here up in the scoring tower from that 29 car. They had to replace a motor just yesterday, and it appears as though that he has not only fallen off the lead lap, but is trying to make it to the finish.
Does Millington have any right front damage after that contact with Brent Cruz? It looks about as clean as it could have been for going down the apron and making contact, but Connor Hall may just be a little bit faster now. Cody Dempster, that's that 24 car that is just up the road, but after that, smooth sailing in terms of lap traffic shouldn't be a factor if they can get by one more car with 7 to go.
The last time the Cars Tour was in action, Connor Hall was a corner away from grabbing his second win of the season. Now he has his sights set on Ryan Millington, who's looking for his second career Cars Tour win. 6 to go, and Hall is about a car length off.
Classy move from Cody Dempster, got out of the way and didn't slow up either driver. But as they come around this time, it'll be 5 laps to go to settle another throwback at Hickory. Shades of 2 years ago between Connor Hall and William Sawalich. 5 to go, and Connor Hall is there on Ryan Millington.
What is Connor Hall willing to do as he goes to the inside in 3 and 4? Millington gives him room. 4 laps to go, and Millington defends the lead.
This is something we've seen at Hickory a lot this year, that high lane working, high entry, but great momentum off the corner for Ryan Millington, trying to drive away from Connor Hall. They'll come around this time. 3 laps to go. Hall slips on the bottom. Millington able to drive away as he tries to fend him off.
Millington doing everything just about perfect right now. We've seen how loose Hall's car has been when he has to hold a tighter radius off the corner, typically on restarts. Now in the battle for the win. 2 to go as Hall looks low again.
Millington going to stay on that high lane. He gives the bottom to Connor Hall as they work off of turn 2. Millington still holding strong. Connor Hall is there as they go into 3 and 4. White flag in the air. Millington slides up the hill. He's trying to save it. 1 more lap to go as they pass Brent Cruz. Millington into the back of Connor Hall. Hall is sideways off of turn 2 as they come around to 3 and 4. Who's going to get back here first? Millington into the back of Connor Hall. He spins out, and Ryan Millington is going to cross the line in first, but is it going to stand?
Hall backed his car into the protective tire on the pit wall and did a John Force down the front stretch in frustration after getting tagged in the back bumper in the final corner for the 2nd race in a row.
Again, we did see at Tri-County a year ago a similar situation in which it was deemed that the 2nd place driver went up and wrecked the leader for the win. And again, we will see if this finish remains official. If it does, Ryan Millington wins a thriller at the throwback at Hickory. And again, frustration, I'm sure, from the fact that they made contact prior to that. He goes, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Goes into 3 and 4 with every intent of getting into the back of Connor Hall. And he's able to do so.
And they have just gone over to Ronnie Bassett Jr.'s car and handed him the checkered flag. They're pointing Ronnie Bassett Jr. to Cookout Victory Lane for the first time.
The black flag being issued to Ryan Millington for dumping Connor Hall in the final corner. And just like what we saw with Jimmy Renfrew Jr., sometimes you just need to be in position And I don't know if there's going to be a more thrilled driver, as there is a big fight at the exit of turn 4 down in the pit lane.
We see the TG Motorsports team in the mix. RNS race car members, not sure who's in the center of that pile. All the while, Ronnie Bassett Jr. celebrating. And Blake, I can't help but think of the article as we watch the commotion continue on the left side. Not that long ago, and I'll credit longtime motorsports reporter Brandon White for putting together a story about Ronnie Bassett Jr., and you alluded to this in the call of the race. The team did everything they could to try to go NASCAR Xfinity Series racing, and it just didn't work out for them. They were plagued by bad luck, wet weather, constantly being forced out of an opportunity to contend as things have settled down in the pit area. And Ronnie said he's a big family man. He brings his family to the racetrack each and every time that he can. And even though this may not have been the fashion in which he would have envisioned getting his first career Cars Tour late model stock win, he said in that story that when this night comes, it could be the biggest night of his racing career. And it's happened just 2 races after one of the most disappointing nights of his late model stock career, where he missed the show at Dominion. What a turnaround for this driver, this team, and all of those who have backed him nonstop in his second full-time foray with the Cars Tour. And you could bet his family is going to be there to greet him, as is that of 3-time champion Bobby McCarty. And Ronnie appears to be a little bit emotional.
I've talked with him so much over the last couple of seasons and know the heartbreak, the frustration, the angst that everybody goes through. The highs and lows of racing, but this is going to be the biggest high of Ronnie Bassett Jr.'s life as he's just about ready to climb out in Cookout Victory Lane.
The emotions are high here in Victory Lane as Ronnie Bassett Jr. It's starting to set in that he just won his first ever ZMAX Cars Tour race, and his family members are coming through to congratulate him. But out of the window he comes. Race fans, let him hear it. Your winner tonight, Ronnie Bassett Jr. Everyone are going to come around and give him hugs. You'll see his sons right here, his wife, all joining him here in Victory Lane. As Minnie Tyrrell comes in as well to congratulate him. Ronnie, congratulations on taking home the win. I know it's not in the way that you wanted to bring it home, but what's going through your mind right now and the emotions you're feeling?
Honestly, I just want to know what happened. You know, I thought we would come across the line third there. Any way you can win one of these races is awesome. We know that shows that we were in contention all night to be there. We didn't have the best car on the long run, but we hung in there all night. We fought hard, and we're there at the end.
Winning one of these races means so much to drivers, especially one like you who's been vying for this position for many years. And I want to point to this on the broadcast right here, this autism flag. Your team was ready with it. They're ready to showcase this. I know this is part of your family and your siblings that had this, but the emotions and being able to honor them tonight, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's awesome. You know, we got this throwback car here. D's somewhere around here. Is really awesome for him to be here. The Campbell family, the Rose family. That's all these guys, every one of them. I mean, we've had a stressful year and a half starting back late model racing, and we're gradually getting better. I'm thankful to be here in Victory Lane. Like I said, it's not the way you want to do it, but anytime you can take one of these wins is the way you want to do it.
Absolutely. Congratulations, you're a winner tonight. Ronnie Bassett Jr. going to bring home the win in the Sound Gear Throwback 276 Late Model Stock Division.
And for the second straight season, a first-time winner visits Cookout Victory Lane in the Throwback race at Hickory Motor Speedway. And again, I know Ronnie Bassett Jr., not the way that he would have wanted to go to Victory Lane, but you can take him in any fashion or any way that you see. And for somebody who has fought as hard as he does with the team that he has, with his family that is so instrumental in getting him into the racetrack and all the strife, this is going to be, and you're seeing it in Victory Lane right now, between drivers, spotters, this is a popular victory down in the garage area.
Motorsports is a range of emotions. Sometimes we see it in not the best of circumstances. If you want an example of the best of circumstances of an emotional victory or ending on a night, that's what this is all about. The driver who said he was going to set his sights forth on doing whatever it took to find success tonight, 3-time champion and Hickory winner, Bobby McCarty, our runner-up, is with Jacqueline.
Yeah, he's already taken a couple bottles of water and doused himself with it. I know it's a hot night, Bobby, but how did that number 6 treat you tonight?
I know you just didn't about call me Barbie. I know you did not.
Bob, right?
Yeah, Bob. Bob is fine now that I'm older. Yeah, we had a really good Sterling building group, black acid, Ford Mustang. We just qualified so far back, and I got some nose damage kind of early on, and I really need to get around Cade, but Cade's probably the most respectable young kid in this whole garage, and I didn't want to rough him up, so I was trying to pass him the right way, and I just lost a ton of ground. And but I'm super happy for these guys, man. Everybody at RNS busted their asses this week, and we was really worried after qualifying because of how bad we qualified, and to come home second is a big deal for us right now.
You said you were going to kick their teeth in. Did you accomplish that tonight?
Nah, I didn't get to first, so I didn't accomplish it. But we made some big changes on the car after Langley. So to come down here and show the speed that we did, I'm tickled pink, man. I'm thinking we're getting this thing turned around.
You literally look a little pink right now, so congratulations, Bobby. Going to bring it home in second place. We'll make our way over here to our third place contender, Connor Hall, who is standing by with his crew right now as they're going to talk through exactly what just happened in that throwback number 17. Connor, man, oh man, you made your way up into the podium just kind of by accident there at the end, but how was that 17 treating you? You seem to have a quick car all throughout the night.
Yeah, it was good. Started on the pole, just tried to ride around and save a little bit, and put ourselves into position, and we were fighting a little loose end. So when I turned under Millington, I was obviously just having a little bit of trouble putting the power down, and thought we had the race won. Just like I said, you can't fastest car doesn't always win the race. So just another tough one. This is 3 in a row that have been pretty tough to swallow, and we're just going to keep putting ourselves in position to succeed, and hopefully one will fall our way pretty soon.
Connor Hall rounding out the podium tonight in third place.
Thanks, Jacqueline. And hey, from a championship perspective, Hall, who kept his foot in it to the checkered flag, unofficially scored in third as things stand right now. Going to be able to make some ground with the mechanical issue that plagued Brent Cruz there in the closing laps. But the sentimental story on the night is that of Ronnie Bassett Jr. and this race team and all that they've done to get back to this level. Wasn't that long ago that they had to pretty much regroup and figure out what they were going to do to have pace that we saw all last year. It's back in a big way, and here is his first career win.
Well, and again, you think about New River All-American Speedway nearly had that race won a year ago. Sometimes you got to lose a few before you win them, even if it comes in this fashion. But again, what a special night for Ronnie Bassett Jr., that entire outfit out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And I think Jacqueline made a good point that it has been so many races back-to-back, whether it's this competition or not, that Connor Hall has been somewhat on the wrong side of some physical racing in the last few laps in the end of the race. Had the same thing happen at Caraway, and like you said, kind of kept his foot in it and was able to hold on to a top 3 and keeps his championship hopes alive.